Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Matt Dion, and I'm the host of the webinar today and the CEO of Mintent. We're very excited today to have our guest speaker, Pam Didner. She's going to talk about how marketers can enable global sales teams. So I'm going to introduce Pam in a bit, but before we do, I want to give you a quick background on Mintent and why we're doing this webinar. So for those of you who haven't been on one of our webinars before, Mintent's a content marketing platform, and our whole goal in life is to make marketing better, make it easier. Our platform is a collaborative workspace where marketers come together to plan their content, produce their content, distribute it, and measure it. So we also like to bring thought leaders to the table to discuss the top issues that marketers are facing with their content. If you don't have a content marketing platform and you want to learn more about that, we do offer a free version of our product. So you can go to our website, getmintent.com, and just start using the software immediately. Anyway, enough about us. I want to get back to the topic of global sales enablement. If you're listening to this, then you should give yourself a pat on the back. This is a topic sometimes marketers shy away from. But it's becoming more and more important. We know that people love to buy, but hate to be sold to. And, obviously over the last number of years, the buyer's journey has kind of gone, I like to say it's gone underground. It's not, people are looking at your content anonymously, and they're doing really most of their process alone or without your knowledge. And then when they do surface, they're usually closer to a purchase, and they want, answer specific things. And at that point, they'll talk to a salesperson. And, but the old school way of just sort of two silos, marketing, generating leads, and throwing them over the wall to sales, we're just seeing that's less and less effective. We have selling processes, but they don't map to buyer processes. And so we really have to produce, that's the role of marketing, is to produce content that facilitates the decision-making process that a buyer's going through and really enable them all the way along the buying process and pulling in sales at the right time. So more has shifted into marketing, more responsibility. And that's what we're going to talk today is how does the marketing strategy empower the buyer before, during, after the sale? And how does marketing and sales kind of work as one integrated team so that they really help that buyer along their journey? So with that, I want to introduce Pam. So Pam's a good friend of Mintent. She's a globally renowned content marketing strategist. You may have seen her if you've gone to any of the content marketing shows. She's always up there speaking. She's an author. She's written a number of books, and she has a new book coming out in October called Effective Sales Enablement, and that's going to be available in the first week of October. Her current book out now is one of the top books for content marketers called Global Content Marketing, and it's one of the first content marketing books to offer the complete process to scale content across a global team. So without further ado, Pam, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm so excited to hear you speak again. I always love listening to you speak, so take it away.
All right. Excellent. So, Matt, and thank you for the intro. And can you see my screen okay? Matt?
Sorry, I had you on mute. I can see your screen.
Okay, very, very good. I'm just going to put it on the presentation slide and make sure that it's fine. What about now? Can you see the full screen of my presentation?
I see your screen, yes, but it needs to be in full presentation mode, I think.
Is it full presentation mode now?
No, I still see the preview.
Oh, really? Okay. 1 second, okay. What about, I'm going to use a slideshow. What about now?
Same.
Can you see the full slide?
I see the slide with the forward and back and then the previews along the bottom.
I'm sorry, I apologize. This is not good. I'm going to try it again. I want to apologize, everyone. I'm going to stop sharing and do it one more time. Would that be okay, everyone? Okay.
Yep.
Oh. What about now?
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent. Thank you. Little glitch there. I want to apologize to everyone. All right. Good morning and happy Friday. And yes, I want to talk about a slightly boring topic, which is the 3 creative ways marketers can enable sales team across the region. And Matt provided a very good intro, and thank you so much, Matt. But really what I want to focus is really a process and the know-how, right? I mean, I can talk about a lot of high-level stuff in terms of what marketers can actually help the sales team, but I want to focus on the 3 things. But before I even started, obviously, if any marketers, if any one of you on the bridge or online, that our sales team will come to us 10 out of 10 times, they're going to tell us they want more leads. Okay, that's great. We know they want more leads. Okay. However, there is a way, from my perspective, that marketer can quantify and also make it that MQL, which is marketing qualified leads, a little bit more clear. And that starts from the lead definition and tie that with your online experience. And you were like, okay, what does that even mean? Well, that started with the definition first, right? So a lot of time when I was reading the MQL or even SQL definition, it's very, very long. But now when you are looking at your lead definition, can you make that very short and also action driven? For example, this is a great example from Lead Genius, and I love the way they define the lead category and also the definition. Right here, they made it very clear, pre-qualified lead is inbound and the outbound leads that fit ideal customer profiles. Obviously, they have an ICP they identify. As long as there's any kind of, high quality, any kind of inbound and outbound leads, that's actually PQL, which is pre-qualified lead. And the marketing qualified lead, they made it very, very clear. It's basically any kind of pre-qualified leads plus one specific action item that is request for demo, period. Right? So it's very, very clear in terms of how they define MQL. And they tie that actually with their online experience. So if you go to the Lead Genius website, you can see that the MQL is top priority for their website. On the top of the right-hand corner, you can see request demo. Why? Because that is an MQL and it fits to an MQL definition. And of course, on the bottom of the left hand corner, it's request for demo again. Why? Because when somebody click on that, immediately it counts as MQL. So the way they do it, and you can see that very discreetly and also seamlessly on multiple websites. And you can look at the specific actions or the call to action, they are identified, and you can somehow guess which one is qualified as MQL. So from my perspective, if you think about it, the way you define MQL, if you can make it simple and easy and tie with online experience, that actually will drive conversion. So that's one first step of a sales enablement as a marketer, which is create a very simple and the crystal and the action-oriented MQL definition. And with that being said, you were like, okay, I know that, Pam. That's nothing new. I agree, right? However, let's take that to one level up. If you really want to scale your marketing support, sales support as a marketer across the regions, there's a couple things you will need to consider, right? Because now you want to support your sales across the regions. Therefore, you need to think about your lead definitions, right? Does that need to be changed from region to region, right? And also, because again, like I said, scale your supports across the region. What about the outbound marketing? How does that tie with the lead definition at the country level? Okay, but try not to be intrusive. Obviously, you can do this, which is right here, and you can put request demo all over the place. If that's the case, you are not providing a good customer experience. So you need to think it through in terms of how to align the outbound marketing with your lead definitions, and you may need to customize it at the country level or the local level. Another thing that's worth discussion is the lead ownership. Who should own it? Should that be the local team, or should that be the regional team, or should that be the headquarter team, right? Needs to have a conversation. So with that being said, what I'm trying to convey, if you think about it, the sales support from marketing's perspective across the region is really the discussion between the global versus local. In a way, it's a lot of discussion in terms of what needs to be standardized versus what needs to be localized. So there are a couple things that you need to take into account. And one of the most important factor is communication, collaboration, and compromise. When you started working with the local team or even a country team within your company, a lot of time there's a local factors that needs to take into account. They might have a different quota, sales quota they have to meet, and the way they reach out to our customers through a different channels and might be very different than, say, the headquarters. So there's a 3 C's I try to emphasize. You need to have a conversation with them. You need to communicate. You need to collaborate. At the end of the day, there will be some compromises. Okay? By the way, am I talking too fast? Matt, is okay? Am I talking too?
Yeah, it's good. No, it's perfect.
Wonderful. And with that being said, there are 3 ways. There are more, but for today, what I want to address, there are 3 ways as a marketer you can enable sales across the region. Okay. One is differentiate products from competition. The second one is map the marketing content for sales engagement. The third one is train sales for products and tools. Okay, I want to talk about each one of them. Like I said earlier, when I share or do any kind of presentation, I want to make sure I share with the audience know-how. That means I want to provide some sort of templates or the processes that after the presentations or after the sessions, that you have something solid that you can use as a next step. So these are the 3 things I want to talk about. And you were like, yeah, differentiate products, that's kind of messaging. I know that. But let me tell you in terms of what you need to do a little bit differently from sales enablement perspective. And the mapping the content, I know that a lot of you have some marketing editorial planning. That sounds great. But I want to tell you how you're going to do that a little bit differently in terms of supporting sales. And the third things I want to share a little bit in terms of how you can educate some of your marketing know-hows and share that with the sales team. Okay? All right, the first one, differentiate products from competition. In general, when I say that, how to differentiate product from competition, a lot of people will say, okay, I understand that. That's basically messagings and value propositions. Yes, you are totally right. So in general, if you are thinking about it, if you are listening, do you have a documentation to actually showcase, say, your products or your services, value propositions, and the messaging at this time? Okay, I just want you to think about it. And if you do, great, fantastic. If you do, I want you to compare yours with mine at this time. Okay, if you don't have it, I want to share with you in terms of a template that you possibly can use. All right, this is a very busy slide. I don't want you to read every single word. That's not my point. Okay, this is just an examples. If you do a Google search on messaging or value propositions, there's hundreds, if nothing else, thousands of templates, which is great. But what I have found is this one specifically, it actually works for me and also my clients. And I want to share this with you. like I said, I don't want you to read all the words, but what I want you to do is pay attention to how information flow. Does that make sense, everyone? I know you are not answering me, but I still have to say that. In general, any kind of messaging, you can pretty much say, okay, fine, I need to create messaging framework. And then you started with, okay, this is my value proposition, and this is my messaging, and this is my, reason to believe, right? Which is the proof points. That's fine, which is 3 categories. The way I put a messaging framework in order to support sales and also showcase you, marketer, as a strategic thinker is that started from market dynamic. Is it possible that you can articulate why and how your product and services fit into the overall competitive landscape? How does that fit into the market? Why does the customer want to buy, right? And because you understand the market dynamic, it shows that you are strategic. Then the next one is basically the company's product response to the market, because this is a marketing challenge, and what kind of product that has been created to actually help your target audience. Then, of course, on any kind of messaging framework, you need to have a target audience. Who are the people that you are talking to? And then the positioning of your product and also the messaging. What are a couple of the key statements that you want to share? And the next one is really the supporting or the proof points that will substantiate your claim, okay? So the way I want to share with you in terms of messaging framework, this is just one template in terms of, hey, do you understand in terms of what's the overall market dynamic for your product and why does your product exist? Who are the people that you want to market to? What are some of the key talking points you want to talk about in terms of your products? And also, what are some of the proof points or the features that can substantiate that messaging? Okay. And you were like, okay, that's nothing new. I agree. But I put it in some sort of framework that your senior management can understand, your sales team can also understand, right? If you want to take it one step further, and this is not necessarily for the sales team, but it can be used as a sales team, but majority of them, most of the time, this is actually for the copywriters. You take the proof points, obviously from the previous slide, which is this specific slide, you expand it. Is it possible that you can expand it, provided some like a 25-word paragraph or 100-word paragraph, and this can also be the talking point, right, for your sales team if they want to make a call or have additional conversations with their customers to talk about some of the product features and the benefits of your services. So these are the nice 2-pager, if you will, that you can share easily with your senior management, with your sales team, and also even with your customer support team. Okay, so again, what I'm trying to share with you is a template. And I like 3 by 3. Obviously, your product offers a lot of features and a lot of benefits. Is it possible that you can identify 3 and then honing on those 3 as your key differentiators? Okay, so that's on the messaging side. And like I said, this is nothing new. What I actually did is I standardize it and create templates that I can easily pass around, say from one stakeholders to another, and share broadly within the company. However, things is a little different if you want to scale that, right? This messaging framework, if you want to scale that with the sales team, okay? I was reading this book. It's called 3 Value Conversation by Eric Peterson. By the way, I'm not associated with him and I don't know him. And so I'm not promoting this book. But I read this book and I found this book interesting, and actually provided me some thought, give me some, how should I say it, thinking points in terms of how this messaging framework created for product, how does that impact the sales team? in his book, he was talking about, hey, a salesperson's premium or the seller's premium is your ability to tell buyers something they didn't know about the problem or of a missed opportunity that they didn't even know they had. So a lot of time, if you think about solution-based selling, we train our sales team to be a problem solver. And from his perspective, that's not good enough. You need to be a problem finder, okay? So he created this specific graph, and let me explain that to you. And he said, if the sales team is really a problem solver, right? Because every single sales team across a different company who provides similar solution like your companies, they are all trying to solve the problem for your customers or the customers that you are targeting, right? In a way, everybody is selling the similar solutions. That, in a way, is a commoditized solution and commoditize the value that sales team is trying to offer. And he suggested, and he used a term called unconsidered need. Is it possible the sales team can identify the needs outside of that problem-solving box, identify the needs that the customer don't even know they had, all right? Then when I was thinking of this, and I was like, oh, this is a great idea. This is fantastic, because that really increased the premium of a salesperson, right? Which is our sales team. Eventually, hopefully by doing that, they can actually bring additional revenue for the company. But this is actually, has a conflict with the marketing messaging framework. The framework I just created, guess what? It's really try to help the sales team to solve the problem, right? In a way, my messaging framework put my sales team in the commodity box. So it doesn't help my sales team if you think about it, right? Because it's based on existing products, it's based on existing unique differentiator factors, but in a way, it's helping them to solve the problem, but I'm not helping my sales team to identify the unconsidered needs. So what should I do? How can I change a template? This really touch on account-based marketing, right? So you really need to think it through. The way to customize the differentiation is likely to be based on different accounts. So you cannot do this for everybody, right? So you need to actually have a conversation with your sales team to understand what are the top 10 or top 15 accounts they want to go after. And you probably have to work with them to customize your differentiation one by one. So you need to work with your sales team to articulate the unconsidered needs of that specific account. And then you have to look into a different features of your product and leveraging that to determine what is the appropriate talking point. So how does that change the template? So here is how I'm going to modify the templates. You started with the target account, right? Who is the right account that you want to go after? Then you need to think about it. The best way to think about it is can you identify a couple of the specific and the unique challenges of the customers? What do they need help? Okay? And then use that as a baseline to find or refine your messagings and the proof points. Does that make sense? So if you think about it, when you are looking into helping your sales team, you cannot just take the typical messaging framework that you have, even if you have one. You need to think it through in terms of how you need to customize it to actually fulfill the unconsidered needs of the potential accounts. So that's one thing I want to share with you is the templates, okay? Because if I share the templates with you, at least you have something to start with. And of course, you can modify the templates as you see fit. So that's the first one. Now let's talk about the second one, map content for the sales engagement, okay? When I talk about mapping content, what comes to your mind? If you are just listening right now, hopefully you are not multitasking and you are listening to my presentation. When I say mapping content, what comes to your mind? At least for me, it comes to my mind in terms of customer journey, okay? But let's talk about customer journey or sales journey. And I want to share with you in terms of why they are different. If you think about sales journey, I will talk to any salespeople. They are looking into the sales journey or conversation with your customer in very linear way, right? The lead has been contacted, the lead has been qualified, they request a demo, I submit the proposal, I close the deal, right? If you talk to any salespeople, the way that they're going to quantify or describe their journey is very linear. All right, that's on the sales side. However, what about the purchase journey of a customer? Okay, that's now looking not from internal's perspective, let's look at from customer's perspective. Well, let's just use ourselves as an example if you think about it. So before you decided to buy, say, software, say a Mint10, you probably become aware of your problem. Matt indicated, right, it's a content management tool. It's actually help you to manage your content, identify what content that you have, and also you can identify existing content, identify the gap of the content that you're going to create. So, and in terms of managing the content can be a massive and also messy task. So you are aware of your problem, right? Once you are aware of your problem, and you will start looking into what are some of the solutions or tools out there that can solve your pain point and your problem. So there is a lot of education. When I say education, it's not necessarily coming from the sales team. It's really a lot of active self-education by doing search or Google search yourself, right? But if you see these lines that I'm doing, there's a lot of going back and forth, right? The customer purchasing journey is not linear. They are aware of their problem. They started educating themselves. They started talking to different people, and they might be like in the process selecting the tool, but you know what? They may not be ready. They come back again. So there's a lot of going back and forth between education and also selection of a tool. And also the purchasing cycle between these two can be pretty long. Yeah. And if they are selecting a software or even a Mint10, when they make a decision, they want to use it. And after they make that decision, there's also onboarding process. Okay. So when I'm sharing this tool, you look at the sales side, very linear. And you look at the customer buying process, it's literally kind of like a potty training, right? 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. So it's going back and forth between education and also selection, and that whole process, depending on the product life cycle or the product the people trying to purchase, it ranges literally from 3 months to possibly 18 months, right? So there's a lot of going back and forth. So from marketer's perspective, if you think about it, what do you do when you map content? You need to think it through in terms of how to map the content, not only for the customer journey, but now if you are supporting sales, you have to map the content also from the sales side, right? So my recommendation is, if you are looking into your content, if I say mapping content to support sales, is it possible you can identify 5 to 7 content lists for each different stage, okay? So now you identify that, possibly 5 to 7 top content for each stage. The next things that you can do is you can see I'm trying to map the customer journey on the top and also the sales journey on the bottom, right? So if I can actually map that somehow in terms of a qualify especially NQL, which is right here, is somewhere that it's already in the process of educating themselves. So I'm trying to map that and this together. Then in a way, I can determine, once I identify those top content, I can determine and evaluate what are some of the content can also apply to the sales team. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to simplify it. Obviously, it's actually very hard, and this is probably not the best way, I want to confess, to actually mapping the content to support the sales team. But it's one approach and something that you can do quickly. Right? So like I said, identify what are some of the content that you have on the marketing side, and then map that into your sales journey and work with your sales team to determine which content can actually apply to them. And chances are you probably have to modify and customize them to fit sales needs. So right here, take it another level in terms of customize and localize that for different regions. So I would definitely review the content list with your local team, right? And then have a conversation with them, solicit their feedback, and then based on that conversation, prioritize what needs to be standardized and localized, then determine who should do it. The most important thing is once you have that prioritization done, the next step is who should do it. Sometimes it's the sales team that needs to take on the lead. Sometimes it's marketing's job. So determine some roles and responsibility and then follow through. All right. How much time do I have? Am I like talking? Matt, can you give me very quickly a time count?
Yeah, we're only sort of halfway through. So yeah, you've got time. Maybe about another 10 minutes and then we'll open it up for questions.
Sounds great. Very, very good. All right, so I talk about differentiate products from competition, and I share with you in terms of what are the templates that you can use, and a couple of thoughts in terms of how to, a couple of tips in terms of how to support your sales team based on your existing messaging framework. Yeah. And the second thing I talk about is how to map the marketing content for the sales engagement. I talk about the sales journey is very linear, and also the customer journey is not much so, and how that you can identify the top contents from each purchase journey, and then use that to drive a conversation with your sales team, and then determine what are the potential content that you can use for your sales team. Okay, so these are the two that I covered so far. The next one I want to share with you is train sales for products and tools. And a lot of time people will say, that is not my job. My job is marketing our products. And this is just additional task I have to do. True, true, true. And the reason I said this can be one way to enable sales is, if you think about it, that a lot of marketing tools used by the marketers are also used by the sales team now, right? So for a long time, marketing used email to reach out to a potential leads, email marketing. And with the CRM, guess who is also doing the mini email marketing campaigns from time to time? Sales team, right? And they want to keep that relationship going with the existing customers. They have new prospects they want to reach out. Well, what kind of tool do they use? Email. And they do the mini email marketing campaigns themselves. If they see some interesting content, or they see the content that you created might be very beneficial for their customer, guess what? They will send a customized email and to their potential prospects or their existing customers, right? So that's one. And another thing, obviously marketers has been using social media to reach out to the customers. Guess who is also using social media? to reach out to their potential prospects and also existing customers, or even stalking their customers? The sales team. And guess what? We are all doing research on Google research to find Google search to find out our potential prospects. Guess who is also using the same tools to do that? The sales team. So have you noticed that the tools that use between sales and marketing is overlapping big time, right? But who actually has a lot of the know-how in terms of using some of those tools? Marketers. We're using a lot of those tools day in and day out, right? Sales team only use it to do a research, to do an outreach. And the majority of time, it's not on their list to learn more about how to use email marketing effectively, or how to find out the tips and tricks of the social media tools. So with that being said, for marketers to enable sales, right, there's one part of it is training. To me, that's a huge advantage for marketers, and can use that as a way to drive conversation with a VP of a sales team in terms of what trainings the marketers can provide. By the way, I am not here to tell you or add additional roles and responsibility to you at your existing job. That's not my point. My point is, I want you to think about it in terms of what are the ways that you can enable your sales team, and one of the elements is training. That's all. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So I talk about social media training for social selling, or the email marketing part of it, right? So there are 4 circles I identified that you can actually help. So I'm not going to talk about social media for social selling. You get a sense of that. A lot of time, if you are doing messaging and you're working very closely with the product development team in the business units, right? From time to time, the product training and also messaging can be part of the marketer's job, okay? But not necessarily for you to do, but there are some other marketers with the organizations that are actually doing that, or collaborating that with the business units or the product function team. And another thing that you can provide trainings, obviously, is content, right? Content is a huge part of it, especially on the B2B side, and it become also critical on the B2C side as well. Especially if you sell high-end products. You want to get people to buy the high-end products on the B2C side, you need to explain that why they need to pay for it. When you explain that in a certain way, in a way you are providing content and to educate and help them understand. So, like I said, sales and marketing are blurring and overlapping, right? So what are some of the creative ways to actually support sales? I want to summarize really quickly. Is it possible that you can shorten and provide crisp lead definition and tie that to your website and also outbound marketing? Made it clear and no confusion whatsoever what NQL and SQLs are. Craft the messaging work for known and the unknown challenges, working with your sales team, and this is a starting point of account-based marketing. Third, map the content between the customer and the sales journey. Identify the content from your perspective that can actually help the sales team based on the sales stages. Then, of course, use the marketing element as a part of the sales engagement and negotiation. So, given that this is a topic talking about how the marketer can enable sales across borders, so there's a couple things I want to share with you as well, right? Obviously, if you are just working for one region, no big deal. It's good. It's easy. But if you are working at the regional or the country level, you need to understand the challenges at the country and also local level, right? Help the local team understand what you, if you are part of the corporate or HQ, what you can offer. That part of it is very critical. Don't tell them what to do. Also tell them what you can do for them. Identify any opportunity to collaborate, communicate, and like I said, compromise is necessary. The one thing that's kind of important that you have to take into account is a global versus local. There's a couple things I want to identify. Make sure you give some thoughts when you work with your global sales team. Guidance versus execution. Sometimes you provide guidance. Don't tell them what to do. Okay, lead versus follow. Who should do what? Who should provide the lead? Who should follow? That's actually very, very critical on the global versus local, right? Standardization versus localization. Most important things, communications, communication, communication. Overall, everything I share with you is not something that you can check off. It's not like, oh, okay, now I got my messaging framework done, check that off, done. No. The way that you support sales, think about it, just like your customer's purchase journey is continuous, that the way that you support sales is a journey, it's continuous. It doesn't stop, right? So it's not something that you can check off. However, you can do things to make that journey pleasant and also work better and then minimize chaos along the way. Obviously, there's a lot for me, for you to digest, and working with the global team or even local team can be frustrating from time to time. My recommendation is do what you can with what you have wherever you are, right? Do the best you can and tackle one issue at a time. So with that being said, I want to wish everybody good luck. And in terms of working on any kind of global project and supporting sales team, I understand can be very frustrating from time to time, but hang in there. All right? Okay, with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to pass the baton back to Matt. So Matt, back to you.
Great. Thank you very much. I am going to share my screen or
questions. Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. We have a couple questions here while I get to the very last slide here. Sorry about that. I just wanted to let everyone know, thank you very much, Pam, and I wanted everyone to know a little bit more about your book, Global Content Marketing. And this book is great. It's available, if you like what you heard Pam talk about today. This is a great book. And then again, her second book, Effective Sales Enablement, is even more relevant to what we talked about today, and that's going to be available first week of October. But we do have a couple of questions, and we do have some time, so I thought we could answer some of these. So, Pam, the first one, and you talked about it a little bit, but how do you kind of draw the line between arming sales with marketing material and getting, because it's kind of a floodgate, right? Like once sales knows you're there to help them, they can ask for lots of help. Can you type this email for me? Can you do this? Every time I have a presentation, I would like you to do a deck for me, that kind of stuff. And it can really swamp a team. So how do you, I guess, have boundaries around that?
That's actually a very good question. I addressed that in my the upcoming book, and I talk about two examples, and one is my example, and then the other one example, a marketing manager of a startup. So when I was supporting the sales team, and I have to support over probably 50 to 60 salespeople and across different regions. And so I set a boundary very clearly that guess what? I'm supporting all of you. I don't have time to create your presentation. I don't necessarily have time to craft standard messagings for you. However, to support you guys, these are the 5 things I will deliver to you every single quarter, right? So I made it very clear in terms of what I will do, and I create the roles and responsibility or service level agreement, make sure my sales team knows that what I will deliver to them. For example, whenever there's a new product launch, they will always get a messaging, a deck from me, and or they will get a talking point, or they will get a standard 10 slides talking about the products, talking about some the competitive benchmark information. So I will identify specifically what I will do for them. Okay, so that's for me. However, when I had a conversation with Tasha, and she is a marketing manager for a startup, she only supported probably 6 salespeople, and the sales team is growing to about 10 for that year. because she is only supporting 5 to 6 people, and she worked very, very closely with the sales team. And she told me she's responsible for creating the presentation for the sales team. She's in the sales meetings all the time, and she even accompanied the salespeople for a customer visit. So my recommendation to answer this specific question is it depends, right? Depending on your job, depending on your scope, and also depending on how many salespeople you are supporting. And so there is no one answer that fits all, and you need to give some thoughts in terms of what you can do from your perspective to be more efficient to support your sales team. And great question, but unfortunately, there's no one standard answer.
No, I know I've run sales teams and marketing teams, and so I've seen, definitely both sides of it. And I think that one thing marketing can bring to the table as well is to be more structured and more organized around the process of that. Yeah. So having, like, for example, so in Intent, we have this thing where you can actually make requests, and it's sort of a formal process when you're asking for something that marketing can say, look, if you're going to ask us to do something, we want to know essentially what it is, why you're doing it, who's the audience, what's your intended goal with it, ask some questions like that, kind of organize all of the requests in a queue essentially, and then you can prioritize it. And the other thing is just having the content itself organized, because salespeople don't always, they're very much, a lot of times when they need something, they need it now. And they may have even asked for that same thing 3 months ago and forgot they asked for it. And so just being organized, a lot of times they're asking for something that somebody else has asked for or you've already done. So just having your content organized and available so that you can just kind of, it's the ultimate, probably you'll find a lot of reuse opportunity there. So anyway.
Matt, I 100% agree with that. I want to add one point on top of your thoughts. And you brought a very good point. A lot of times sales team, when they need something, they need it now or yesterday. 100% agree. And a lot of time, the information they need, it's probably already been created. I would say 85%.
Yeah.
And that it's in order to provide value as a marketer, you really need to know your content. And also the list, if nothing else, like top 15 or 20 pieces of content based on the sales stage and also based on customer journey. Because a lot of times ask that information, they were talking to a customer and they are and to facilitate the customer to the next stage of the sales journey. You just need to understand in terms of what the list of content out there, and then point them to a certain direction, and then they will take it from there. So that's a very good point. Thanks.
Yeah. Great. Do you have any tactics that you would suggest? And just by the way, if anyone has questions, there is a Q&A panel that you should see there, and you can just feel free to type in any questions that you have, and we can answer those. So what, Pam, what tactics do you suggest to, I mean, I don't know, use the word train sales teams, but, I guess move sales teams that might be old school, and the old way of selling has always worked for them, and now we're kind of moving into this new world. Yeah. And they've always kind of maybe seen marketing necessary evil, but it just hasn't been like certainly a unified team going after working on a common sales journey. What any tactics you suggest for a marketing team that's facing that situation?
This is a hard question. And I work with, so it's basically you have to teach old dogs new tricks in a way, right? Mm-hmm. And so I work with salespeople, age range, demographics range from 50-something, close to retirement, down to probably early 30-something. And what I have found, obviously, the younger sales people are, and it's actually easy to train them. They are very open-minded, and sometimes they probably can teach me on some of the tricks I don't even know, especially on the digital side. But from the older demographics, and that they have been doing certain things for a long period of time, it has worked for them for 20-some years. From their perspective, why do they need to change? So I ran into that kind of resistance actually for a long period of time. especially when I supported them, I would say, 6 or 7 years ago. And the social media was on the cusp of becoming popular. And so it was very, very hard to train them. And a lot of time it's incentive. I incentivize them from two ways. The first one is explain it in the way that this will help you to meet your sales quota, right? And your target customers are actually online, and this will help you. So I explained it from the perspective that this will help you in terms of meeting your sales goal. That's one. The other one I try to incentivize them is actually working with the VP of the sales team and make it some of the digital training or some of the tools mandatory. They don't like that, but because it's mandatory and it's driven by the top management, they somehow make an effort. Okay. The third is bribing. Bribing always works. You always bribe them with Starbucks coffee cards and a bag of cookies, whatever. So the bribing always helps. So if nothing else, what we get them to incentivize them to start. But I would say that's about 6 or 7 years ago. Nowadays, when I talk to a different salespeople, they completely understand that the digital side of things and using certain kind of tools does help them. So I actually see now training the sales team was much easier than probably 6 or 7 years ago. I know that, I don't know, for folks on the online listening, do you actually feel the same way? If not, also share with me and say, no, that's not true. That's not the case. I'm in a manufacturing company. Same old. I want to say same old. I'm not going to say that word. And it's like same thing, different days. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. You need to understand your sales team and then determine what actually worked for them. From my perspective, just help them educating them and tell them to help them understand this will help you in terms of getting more sales, and working with the top management and make it mandatory. I hate saying that worked too. So. Yeah,
I agree. I think what also helps, it kind of fundamentally comes down to, marketing teams not having the us versus them mentality themselves, and really having that empathy they need for the salespeople. I mean, it's, I've had the benefit of kind of being in that seat, chasing the quota every quarter. So then, when I jumped back, I went from marketing to sales back to marketing. So when I got back to marketing, it made me a much better marketer, having, kind of lived in their shoes.
Yeah.
And so I think that understanding of their job, whether you can sit on calls or go on calls with them, or, try and understand the challenges and struggles they're dealing with. And that'll definitely help you align better with them versus kind of treating sales as that necessary evil, and then vice versa. So a lot of it's kind of attitude change on both sides.
Yep. Totally agree. You hit the core.
Yeah. Okay, great. I think we're getting close to time, so why don't we end it there? Pam, thank you so much for joining us today. I know this is a really important topic and something that is, more and more people are asking about it, and I think it's just critical as sales and marketing come together, and the way people choose to make decisions is changing dramatically. So we have to find new ways of doing things. So appreciate your time, and thank you everyone for joining us today. This recording will be sent out to everybody. And again, if you would like to try some of these things that we talked about today using a content marketing platform, you can sign up for free on our website. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. If anybody has any specific question, just reach out and through my website. And if you want a presentation, and let me know as well, I can send the templates to you. All right, Matt, thank you so much. Everybody have a great
thank you, Pam.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.